How was your day? Hey there, we are the Why series, and welcome to our podcast, which often begins with why questions based on first principle thinking, an original approach that offers you diverse perspectives on various life issues and helps you cultivate a truly vibrant spirit. Join us for this episode. We still remember those sparkling moments when our hearts fluttered for someone. We remember the first time we held hands, the blush on our cheeks when we caught sight of a familiar face. Love begins with a smile, a glance, without any special reason. Yet, when everything ends, strangely, we find 1,000 reasons to break up. From tiny differences and trivial conflicts to vague, unnameable things. I still vividly recall the moment we decided to stop. It wasn't a fierce argument, nor was it because of a third person. It was just one evening, sitting across from each other, looking deeply into each other's eyes. And we both accepted the truth that our love could only go this far. So why do two people who once loved each other so deeply, cherished each other so much, ultimately fail to move forward together? Did we use up all our courage to begin, but our love wasn't strong enough to overcome irreconcilable differences? Loving each other but not being able to be together. Is that the end of a love story, or just another form of its existence? Because some people don't walk with us to the end of the road, but thanks to them, we learn how to walk with ourselves. A relationship ending isn't the end of everything. So, what ultimately pushes two people who love each other apart? Having loved so much, why choose to let go? Let the Why series help you find the answers in today's podcast. First, let's talk about differences in background and family. We often think love only needs two hearts, but realistically, to endure a long journey together, sometimes it's not just about two people. We grew up in different circumstances, and when those two worlds meet, the lines begin to blur, revealing differences in lifestyles, routines, and family cultures. Frankly, cultural or religious differences aren't just external rules. They also affect how each person views the world, their opinions on raising children, or their commitment to building a family. When a family is too traditional and adheres to fixed rituals, it can be very difficult for them to accept a child's free-spirited and liberal lifestyle. Family approval, social status, or public opinion become invisible pressures that turn love into a burden, silently eroding both partners' patience and trust when thinking about a shared future. Family can be the source of love, but sometimes it becomes an insurmountable wall. When our love is big enough to soften, to cherish, and to share with each other, but not strong enough to bridge and change the deeply rooted beliefs of our loved ones, we face a cruel choice: hold on to love or preserve peace for both. And sometimes, out of love, we choose to let go of the other person so they don't have to carry that internal conflict. Secondly, we must consider differences in ideology, values, goals, and stages of emotional development. In reality, compatibility in modern times isn't just limited to money or family background, or the prejudice of rich versus poor, or social status like in the past. It also involves a synchronicity of perception in thought, intellectual foundation, life views, and core values. For example, one person might dedicate all their energy to their career and prioritize absolute financial independence, while the other places family and emotional stability above all else. One person might be in a self-discovery phase, constantly seeking growth and unafraid of change, while the other seeks safety and familiarity. These differences might start as minor arguments, but over time, they accumulate and become an invisible barrier, pushing the two people in different directions. Two people love each other but are not on the same rhythm. Love only blossoms when two souls meet in the right season. Love might be an emotional matter, but walking together is a matter of reason, of alignment in direction and vision towards common goals. And that's when we face the regrets named right person, wrong time. Meeting when one of us isn't mature enough, hasn't fully healed old wounds, or carries too many personal burdens. Love comes fiercely and genuinely, but it lacks the solid foundation of maturity and psychological stability to support a long-term partnership. Differences in core values also manifest in how we perceive life and shape our future when we move in together. For instance, in financial management, one person might spend in a live for the present style, cherishing experiences and enjoying conveniences, while the other sets goals to accumulate for the future, always planning ahead and saving every little bit. These conflicting views on the future turn every shared decision, no matter how small, into a battle over different priorities. We might be compatible emotionally, but fail to find common ground to empathize and share responsibilities. The third reason is the meeting of two wound systems. When you love someone, it's not just two adults meeting, but two inner children meeting as well. When entering a relationship, each person carries baggage containing unmet expectations, fears of abandonment, wounds from family, or traumas from past relationships, and these shape how we love. Sometimes, we love sincerely but don't know how to love healthily. Someone afraid of abandonment will become controlling. Someone who has been deceived will always be suspicious. And someone who lacked affection will always love clingily and demandingly. According to the repetition compulsion mechanism, Sigmund Freud pointed out that humans tend to repeat familiar painful scenarios and patterns because our subconscious wants to resolve or heal old wounds through a new object. So sometimes, we keep falling in love with people similar to those who once hurt us, thus repeating a tragedy. We are attracted to them not because they are better, but because they are familiar with our pain. We hope that this time we can change the outcome, but in the end, our hearts break once again. Love doesn't come to fruition not because love ends, but because healing is absent. A relationship breaks not because the other person is bad, but because we are not strong enough to embrace and soothe our own wounds. Therefore, sometimes love is not a destiny for us to be together, but a destiny for us to awaken. To awaken to the fact that before loving others, we need to learn to love and heal our inner child first. That brokenness pushes us back to ourselves, beginning the courageous journey of facing old wounds and building a healthy love from within. The next reason why people who love each other don't end up together is control in love. According to Sartre's existential philosophy, humans are inherently free and solitary. However, when we fall in love, we crave the opposite. We desire to merge as one, to break down that wall of loneliness. This very desire pushes love into a tragedy. When we love too deeply, we develop a desire to possess. We not only want their love, but we also want their entire being, their thoughts, their time, and even their personal choices. We try to change the other person to fit the expectations we've drawn for our soulmate. We love who they are in the present, but only accept them if they become an ideal model in the future. And unintentionally, this forces the other person to constantly struggle to live differently. And this act of possession, an attempt to change, ultimately kills the initial pure love. Love is the acceptance of each other's freedom, a partnership that doesn't erase individual identity. Many relationships break not because love runs out, but because we love so much that we forget the other person also has the right to be themselves, the right to freely choose their own path and values. The moment control crushes respect, letting go becomes the only way for both to be liberated, to return to their inherent freedom. Differences in communication language in love are also one of the reasons why people who love each other don't end up together. If possessiveness kills the ego, then a lack of communication compatibility in love kills understanding. Gary Chapman, in his book, The 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts, outlines 5 love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. These stem from deep human needs and the desire for emotional reciprocation. Both partners give love in the way they wish to receive it, not in the way the other person needs it. This difference isn't anyone's fault, but it creates a lonely void right within the relationship, especially when conflicts arise. Instead of seeking to resolve consequences, listening, understanding, and offering solutions, we retreat into defensive patterns. One person chooses silence and withdrawal, while the other becomes angry and demands answers. The silent person thinks they are avoiding conflict, but the other feels abandoned and disrespected. Both love each other but cannot talk or share, and the result is, I don't understand you, and you don't love me. Emotion is the foundation, but communication is the two-way connection in love, and learning each other's language is the first step towards an open dialogue for both to learn how to harmonize. Additionally, we can also mention reasons related to a lack of commitment. Love is a long journey of companionship and continuous effort. Sometimes two people break up not because they stop loving each other, but because their love isn't strong enough for them to stay together. The lack of courage to commit is a significant barrier. Commitment isn't just a promise. It's a willingness to face future difficulties together, trusting that both can overcome any challenge. When these foundational elements are missing, the wall of differences gradually grows taller, turning connection into a burden. When one person feels the fear of long-term attachment, of losing personal freedom, to be greater than the joy of being with their partner, they will retreat and let go to preserve respect for both. We love each other in the present, but lack the belief and ability to build a shared future because we don't dare to bet ourselves on stability and responsibility. And that forces both paths to diverge. Another undeniable reason explaining why two people who love each other don't end up together is the separation by life and death. Even when love is strong enough to overcome family barriers and differences in thought and perspective, people cannot overcome the paradox of life and the boundary of mortality when love faces the absolute separation of life and death. People don't break up because they stop loving, nor do they separate because they are incompatible, but because one of them has fulfilled their mission in this realm and moved on to another journey. In Plato's concept of twin souls, perhaps we meet our true soulmate, but in this lifetime, we are only allowed to recognize each other, not to walk together. Because each person's mission is different. Some people are not born to stay, but to awaken the deepest part within us, to teach us the lesson of unconditional love and the most noble letting go. When facing separation by life and death, we realize how trivial all the petty conflicts about money, career, or love languages become. Separation is not a loss, but the existence of love in an eternal form, no longer limited by time or space. At that point, love becomes a source of strength, a beautiful memory that guides us on our personal journey, reminding us to live every moment fully and love without regret. Dear friends, whatever the reason for separation, the ultimate thing we need to do is learn to let go with kindness and move forward with courage. When a relationship ends, maintain respect and sincerity for each other. Be kind to your partner by respecting their decision, by not digging for false or trivial reasons to satisfy your own anger. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to hurt, but don't let that pain destroy the beautiful memories you both built together. Because an ending does not negate the meaning of what once was. Embrace the pain, but don't let regret hold you back. Courageously embark on a new journey. Believe that this separation is not your failure, but a necessary turning point for both of you to return and meet the deepest part of yourselves, where love begins. Not all love needs an outcome, some just need meaning. Because some people don't walk with us, but thanks to them, we learn how to walk with ourselves. Believe that you deserve complete happiness, a relationship where both not only love but are also courageous enough, mature enough, and willing enough to overcome all obstacles together. Letting go today is to give both of you the opportunity to open your hearts to a healthier, more stable love, starting with acceptance and self-love, right? And that's this week's podcast. If you empathize with these shared thoughts, don't forget to follow our channel and await the next episodes of the Why series. Bye.